Alrighty, welcome back, boys and girls. It's your main math man, Mr. Shane, coming to you live from Summon Academy. In this video, working on finding that mistake in these given problems. So we're trying to find the step where they first made the mistake. So we're going to write down what they did for each step, so that way we can talk about it. So we're going to say for this first one, what did they do? Well, they multiplied both sides by 6. And so they multiplied both sides by 6 to get rid of these fractions. So that's why they have only -5 on the left side, and they ended up having, if they multiplied by 6 onto both sides, they end up having 2 times, or sorry, they should have, yeah, they had 2 times that amount, so it was 6 on the outside of 75 plus 5 over 3x. So that's how they got it. This turned into a 10 because it was 5 times 2, and this turned into a 450 because it was 6 times 75. So this first step is okay. With the second step, what did they do? Well, they distributed. So the step is they distributed -5 to each term. Let me try writing that word again. Each term. All right. So they did -5 times 8 and -5 times positive 5x. So that looks actually good too. So that step is good. And what do they do from step 2 to step 3? Well, they subtracted. They got rid of this 450, so they subtracted 450 from both sides. And what happened was, well, or you could say they added the opposite to both sides with the 25x, but it should be this. So we can say it should be, so the mistake is in step 3. It should be if they added 25x to both sides. So they actually did 2 things at once. That's okay. We're saying where's the mistake is that? Where's the mistake? So they subtracted 450 from both sides. That's okay. So -490 is okay. But on the right side, it should be equal to 35x. Because if you do 10x plus 25x, you get 35x. One last step, divide both sides by 35. Let me check to see what we get. So we have -490 divided by 35, so it ends up being -14. So we're going to say that x equals -14. Again, make sure you can check by graphing. And so we pull up our wonderful Desmos calculator, and we are going to type in that left side and that right side to find where the solution point is. So I have -5 over 6 times the quantity 8 plus 5x. Then I have the other equation could be 75 plus 5 over 3 times x. So I need to zoom out here a little bunch. Okay. Find where they cross. Wherever they intersect is where they're equal. Notice how the x coordinate is our solution point, and so we are good. So we know this is correct because our answer was x equals -14. Moving on to the next one. Find that error or see what they did. So you can say, remind yourself that we're saying -1/2 is the same as -0.5. And so what they did was they distributed -1/2 to each term inside these parentheses. So notice how they didn't do times the -10 because that would be right. However, that first step is actually incorrect because since you have +3 times, so if you have +3 times a -0.5, that should be equal to 1.5, which is not what they have. So we're going to say that step 1 is incorrect, and it should be we have negative 0.5x minus 1.5 minus 10 equals negative 6.5. Make sure you can combine like terms. So I'm going to say I can combine these two to be like this. So I have negative 1.5 and negative 10 is going to be negative 11.5, and then the rest stays the same. I have two steps to get my solution for x, so I'm going to add 11.5 to both sides. 0.5. On the left side, I have negative 0.5x, and on the right side, I have just 5. Be able to divide both sides by the coefficient, so divide both sides by negative 0.5, and I can say I have x equals 10. Sorry, negative 10. There we go. So let's check it out using our Desmos calculator so we can be able to graph it out. So let me hit the home button, clear out my two functions. Type in your left side exactly as it looks. So we have negative 1 over 2 times the quantity x plus 3 minus 10 on the left side. Zoom out a little bit. And on the right side, what do we have? We've got just negative 6.5. Be careful though, because you can't type in negative 6.5 and get another line. Notice how it doesn't come up. I have to type in y equals because it has to define what that value is. And it says, hey, your x value is negative 10. So that one also is correct. And for this last one, for number 3, it says, here's your equation. What do they do? So the first step they actually did, so from the given to step 1, they multiplied both sides by 8. That's how they got rid of the fractions, but also too, if you multiply both sides by 8, you still have a 2 left over, so this is going to be 2 times that amount. And so they also distributed that 2 to each term. So they had 8x and negative 6, but then they also distributed the negative 1 that was right here. So they did negative 1 times 9 and negative 1 times 4x. So this step 1 is okay. For step 2, what did they do? So from step 1 to step 2, they got rid of the 4x, so they added 4x to both sides. So they got rid of the 4x and 12x, so that step actually looks good as well. So step 2 is okay. So far so good. What do they do from step 2 to step 3? Well, they got rid of the 6, so they added 6 to both sides. And so, oh, there's a mistake right here. So it should be what? So it should be 12x equals, and we have what? It was negative 9 plus 6, which is negative 3. So it should be 12x equals negative 3. Divide both sides by 12. Again, you can write a fraction or you can write a decimal. Either way works. But we can say x is going to be equal to negative 1 over 4, which is the same as negative 0.25. Always make sure you can check your answer by graphing, since we have an equation. Pull up my graph, clear these two out, hit that home button, get back to where I was, and let's type in my left side. So I hit a fraction, I have 4x minus 3, my numerator, and in my denominator I have 4. So I have one side of the equation, and I have negative in our fraction, 9 plus 4x over 8. Again, notice how they intersect at one point. I can actually zoom in this time because I want to make sure I'm getting a point where they exactly intersect, and our answer still matches up. So make sure you can see how you can graph those out. Make sure I can get those answers, change those fractions to decimals, and as always, super slam that subscribe button.